G'day, it's Josh here from The People of Music. Welcome to another podcast. I'm lucky enough to be down in Brizzy tonight. I'm going to catch up with Lewis. Lewis plays guitar for Imprisoned, also does a lot of sound engineering stuff down in Melbourne. He's up here and about town for Big Sounds. I saw these guys, or I saw Imprisoned play last week when we were down together in Newcastle. I'm super excited to get a bit more, or get to understand a bit more about his life and his story. I hope you enjoy. G'day Lewis.
Sweet.
Thanks very much for coming on.
No, that's right.
How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been pretty hectic the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Playing in a band Imprisoned. So we did a little headline run last week.
Yeah,
and
I saw you in Newey.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in Queensland again this week. So it's just been a bit of a whirlwind.
You said before you won a competition with workmates.
Yeah.
Come up for Big Sound.
Yeah, so I help out at a bar, Cherry Bar, a few nights a week, and we were entertaining the idea of heading up anyway, and we just entered a competition. So we won flights and accommodation and entry. And a nice meal at, like a ritzy restaurant.
Yeah, right.
So I'm here for free, which has been really good. Yeah.
Did you go home on Friday?
Yeah, so Friday afternoon
we
leave, and then into real life again.
Man, just looking at the lineup, like it seems a lot more diverse
this
year.
Yeah,
like there's heavy bands.
There's heaps of bands. There's 100 and something, people playing.
Huge.
There's certainly a lot more of the more extreme heavy bands, which is cool. In the past, they'll say, there's heavy bands, but it'll be like hard rock or something.
Yeah,
so it's cool.
Played on Triple J.
So it's cool that there's like actual, hardcore and like heavy bands, But there's also, a whole lot of hip hop and
diversity.
Yeah, I think it's a very good indicator of where Australia's at. There's a whole lot of bands playing. You know?
And there's a bit more influence. I think, through the labels and
of course,
people up top.
That and I think with heavy music, there's like people are a lot more open to playing this kind of thing now. I think in the past, people had this idea that heavy metal and hardcore had to be, like really homemade and raw.
Yeah.
When now people are open to the idea of having a label and playing these kind of things. It's a bit more professional, which I think is really good.
Oh man, I fully back it.
Yeah.
So where did it all start for you? Where did you grow up?
So I spent most of my childhood in the western suburbs of Melbourne.
Okay.
Pre-primary school I was in the south, but primarily it was the west.
Yeah.
My parents played a lot of rock and punk music at home.
Did they?
Yeah.
Right.
So there's always been a punk kind of thing.
And is that like the Vandals, the Clash?
So like a lot of the Clash. My mum's into a lot of post-punk kind of stuff, So there's always been that artistic, kind of thing, and they're both artists.
Are they?
So so it was a very creative childhood.
Visual or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So painting or constructing things.
Wow.
And
What's your earliest memory of music or a band, or was there something that really?
I remember heading away on holiday to Torquay or something, and my mum played Nirvana.
Yeah, wow.
And hearing, Smells Like Teen Spirit, just hearing that explode was unlike anything else I'd ever heard, And I remember playing that for my friends as if I was the first person to have heard the band,
Passed
but
it on.
but they're obviously, a huge band, So, I just remember hearing that at, when I was really young, and that's quite heavy. So, just hearing the, how extreme and explosive and aggressive it was, so that's a pretty early memory.
Definitely. Did they have pretty diverse, were they listening to blues and were they doing anything else, or was it pretty?
It was, all kind of artistic kind of rock stuff.
Okay.
All very post-punk and, experimental kind of stuff. So it was a very, creative childhood,
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you first pick up an instrument? What was it?
So it was early primary school. I got a 3/4 size acoustic.
Yeah.
So I would have been like, early primary school.
Yeah, right. Was that like 3 nylon, 3
Yeah,
steel?
yeah. So, but I didn't really play that until high school. You know, I played around a bit and like they encouraged me, but you know, I wasn't really interested. And hit high school and they had, you know, classes included, you know, for free. So I just, like I started playing more, and that was kind of it, you know. As soon as you start to learn some songs and you can play on your own, you know, it's a lot easier to improve, you know.
Do you remember what kind of tunes you were playing? Were you still pretty influenced by your parents at that point?
Yeah, like always into rock stuff, you know, but obviously when you're, you know, first playing, you just play, you know, the stuff that your teacher hands you, you know. So, yeah, you kind of hit that point where you can play for yourself, you know, and then you can start to learn the songs that you'd really, you know, enjoy playing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then, you know, I had a few friends who played in punk bands and stuff, and then so a few kind of small bands throughout high school, and just turned into a more real, you know, prospect, you know, instead of just kind of playing around at high school.
Yeah, in
you know,
the jam room.
Yeah, it kind of turns into a more real thing.
Were you getting external lessons, or were you just
so
doing
it was all
music
internal.
at school,
Yeah.
and then you were just jamming with mates?
Yeah, so it was
on the
just like
side?
the weekly class in high school, and then practicing at home, you know, and like I knew a few people from high school, and we were kind of playing everything we could.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
So,
were you interested in scales and
yeah,
that
so
kind
like,
of stuff?
yeah, you learn that kind of stuff in the classes, you know, and that kind of helps you understand why, you know, like why your idols are playing the riffs they're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of stuff's really helpful for when you're learning on your own.
Yeah.
You know, because you understand why, you know, why things sound happy or, you know, or sad, you know, or angry. So, yeah.
How did your musical taste develop from, say, like year 8 to when you were 18,
yeah, so
19?
High school was pretty like... So early high school, I was into the stuff my parents were into. And then, you know, like the post-punk stuff kind of led to like the emo stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and then I had friends who were into emo and like into hardcore and stuff. And I remember someone played me I Killed the Prom Queen.
Yeah.
And then I checked them out and there was a picture. One of them was wearing an In Flames shirt or something.
Yeah.
And so I checked out In Flames. And In Flames were the first kind of more extreme, you know, heavy band that I'd heard.
I think they used to have a song on Guitar Hero. That's where I maybe first.
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah. So, you know, so from hardcore and stuff, it kind of introduced me to the more extreme, heavy stuff, you know. And that's kind of where I'm at now, you know.
When you say emo, you're talking like My Chemical Romance, AFI,
Hawthorne Heights, Panic at the Disco, you know, all that kind of stuff. That was, you know, really huge in the mid-2000s.
Yes.
And then, because that's kind of heading in a more heavy, you know, kind of way, and then you hear some heavier hardcore bands, and then so that kind of transitioned into more extreme, you know, kind of heavy music. So
when was your first, like, say, formalised band, as in not a school band that just played in the music block, something, a band that played a show at a pub or a venue or...
I'd say a few years after high school. Yeah, there was like a heap of small little punk and hardcore bands, but I was playing in a band called Thorns from like 2012 onwards.
Yeah, okay.
So that was the first proper band where, you know, like we're actually trying to be on the road and, you know, kind of planning ourselves more like a real band, you know, because prior to that it was just, you know, just kind of playing around really. Yeah, you know, but I think you have to do a few bands until you have one that actually works, you know.
How did you meet those guys?
Just kind of hanging around at hardcore shows. You know, you meet someone who knows someone, and like they know someone who's in a band, and so they were trying to find someone, and I'd been hanging around a while, you know. So we just we had a chat about it, and then we had a practice, and that was kind of it, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's like the main thing in music is just you have to be around the right people, you know, at the right time and stuff.
So who was in that band, and it like, or say of those band members,
Yeah.
are those guys still doing stuff now in other bands?
Yeah, so it's probably like half and half. So there was a band called Hopeless.
Yeah, I remember them.
So the main guy, there were people from Hopeless in Thorns, and but there was people in Thorns who moved on to play in other bands with me.
Okay.
So I was in a band Colossus for about a year.
Yeah, right. With Lachlan and...
Yeah. So, and like so it's all a bit like the hardcore scene's all a big, everyone's involved with each other, so, kind of been playing in bands with the same people for a while, but it's just hasn't been the same incarnation.
Okay, so how long did Thorns last?
Officially it was like 4 years or something, I think. We just kind of hit a point where we knew that the next album or whatever, or like the next 12 months had to be, all about the band, and we just weren't prepared to, invest that. So, we kind of cut it short, as opposed to just trying to continue and, an album being half-assed or something.
Yeah, pushing it.
So, so that was like 4 years, and then I had a few months away from bands, and then Colossus asked me to join.
Yeah, cool.
So from there I went to, my first show was in Thailand. We did like a little...
I do remember.
Yeah.
Did Lachlan's touring company book that?
So he works for EVP now, but I think he organised the tour at the time.
Yeah, right.
So I did 4 or 5 shows in Asia, which was cool. That was huge.
Did you go Jakarta?
Yeah, so Bangkok? We did, Jakarta, Bangkok,
Malaysia.
2 places in Malaysia.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Big stadium or?
So the last show in Jakarta was a really big one.
Yeah.
Like to 10,000 people or something,
That's crazy.
So that was my first time overseas, was playing in a band. So
were Colossus pretty established when you joined?
Yeah. In Australia they were very, established. They had played Asia in the past, but this was one where they'd kind of played, they'd played already. So they were playing to those people that they'd played to in the past, and they were establishing themselves more. So, so that was really good, But that was kind of an introduction to a much more professional band, because we came home and we toured pretty hard, for that 12 months that I was in, and then, so that, I suppose Colossus was the first like proper band that was like really having a go, to be professional musicians.
For sure.
So.
What changed? What made you move on from Colossus?
It just became a bit much. Like the people in the band were arguing a lot.
Yeah.
I was also heading towards more of like an engineering, trying to be a professional engineer.
Okay.
So when stuff started to happen within the band, I just chose to pursue, engineering. Yeah. So
when had you started? Was it pretty much at the same time you joined Colossus? Had you started studying, or was it while you were in Thorns? Were you recording mates' bands in your bedroom, or?
So engineering was initially just a way to show people I was playing in bands my ideas.
Okay.
So I'm sure you know how hard it is when you're in a room and you're trying to explain an idea, but everyone's playing at the same time. So.
Or you bring a riff and
you're trying to explain the drums and so engineering was initially just a way for me to record those ideas, so even if the idea changes, I've still handed them a complete idea, instead of trying to explain the drums. I can just actually program the drums. So and from there I was trying to produce those ideas, so they like they'd sound, complete or whatever. And then you get, increasingly into the mixing and then like the recording and, so that's kind of how that happened, I guess.
Yeah, rolled out.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that,
yeah, of course,
but we'll continue on the band. So Colossus, and then were you bandless for a little while again?
So I was out of for like 18 months.
And was that like 2000?
Yeah, so I quit Colossus. No, I quit Colossus like start of 2015, I think.
Yeah.
And then I was off for 18 months or something.
Yeah, right.
And then so I'm playing in a band called Imprisoned at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've hung around those guys for a long time. Like we used to be housemates and stuff. So I've known them for a long time, and I actually hit them up because they'd been pretty quiet for a while. Hit them up to record, and they said they'd been planning to ask me anyway.
Yeah, right.
So I said I was happy to join, but as long as I got to record everything.
Yeah.
So I've been in Imprisoned for almost a year now.
Okay.
But like I've been around the band, for the whole time they've been a band. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about Hard to Kill.
Yeah.
Were you around at all?
Yeah. So
when they did that, those recording
yeah.
sessions?
So I was. Hard to Kill was around the time I was starting to get more into engineering. Yeah. So I helped with a little bit of the pre-production and stuff, on Hard to Kill.
And that was 2015, is that right?
Yeah, maybe like...
Released 2015?
Yeah, I think it came out in 2014 or 15.
Yeah.
So probably like a year prior I was helping, with the writing and pre-production. So they'd have the riffs, and then they'd come to me and we'd program the, like the drum ideas that they had. So... yeah, like I've always been involved in Imprisoned actually, and like I've always been a fan as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I remember when Hard to Kill happened, it was like they stopped, Imprisoned weren't just that small band playing a few shows here and there, they were kind of more of a real band,
Yeah, stepped in. I guess that's what happens when you release an album.
Yeah, with an album, right?
Like we're kind of in that situation.
Yeah, they start to take you seriously, yeah.
Yeah. Because you can do as many EPs as you like, and then
but until you have an album, it's a
massive body of work. I think like for any band, it's easy to write 3 or 4 songs.
But an album, I think people really underestimate it. From a producing or engineering point of view, it's not as easy as just having 11 songs. Yeah. You have to have an intro, and the album kind of has to ebb and flow. So. But an EP that's a few songs, you can kind of arrange them however you want. But an album kind of like the songs are one thing, but that's only half the game.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I watched an interview with Daniel Johns. I don't know if it was his most recent one or not, but he was saying I think he released maybe his second last album.
Yep.
So he was on camera saying that he had 52 songs written. And had felt pressured to narrow it down.
Yeah, okay.
That, in my mind, that is absolutely
it's insane, right?
Crazy.
Yeah,
when you think the average, what you call the average kind of band or person.
Yeah.
In trying to create.
Yeah, but I think so say you're, planning to record an album. You'd be best to write a heap of songs and then to choose the best ones, instead of trying to make those 11 songs you have, the album. If you can just chop away the ones that are, that aren't going to work,
Definitely.
In kind of every band. So I'm in Imprisoned, but there's a few other things in the works. But I'm always trying to make an effort to have extra songs. Yeah. So the ones that probably have to have some more work, we can just hold on to them, instead of trying to make them work,
For sure.
Because it's always handy to have those things in the bank as well,
I agree.
So.
And it's funny, sometimes, I guess, in reflection, there may just be a riff or a bridge or a chorus or something that you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll play with that. Forget the rest. Yeah. And then a whole new song comes from it.
Yeah. Well, it can be hard as well when you're in the zone. You can really be, you can kind of ignore the real way out of the song. So you can hone something in, until it's exactly what you're hoping for. But I think the best thing sometimes can be to leave an incomplete song for a few months and then, to revisit it. Yeah. Because you'll hear that thing, as soon as you hear it. So,
I have to ask you, the record, Hard to Kill, the guitar tone, I'm a drummer, but I would say that guitar tone.
It's very aggressive, isn't it?
So many people, guitarists, I'm like, how would they have got
Yeah.
Like, is it just track after track up, like just duplicating and like track over track, or is it
well,
like particular setup, or?
Yeah, with Imprisoned, there's a cheeky trick with the tone. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, but it's fine. So the trick is an amp on the clean channel with a HM2.
Yeah,
So HM2 is the drive we use.
Okay.
But the trick is to play through it on a clean channel, because then you're not going to get the mud from, the high gain channel on the amp. So that's our trick.
And then how, like on that record, how do you get the body, the volume, because that's probably what, like, I like the tone, but I think it just sounds like it's like being in a really long tunnel, and it's just filling up with that guitar tone, whereas I haven't heard anyone else being able to do that in the past.
Right. Yeah, well, like with a lot of heavier music, when you're engineering it, you'll certainly do like, a few tracks either side, How many tracks they did exactly, I'm not sure, but it's pretty common to do like 2 tracks aside, and then in the heavy bits, like you might do an extra one, so it's also just the playing,
That's true.
A lot more of your sound comes from your hands than people think, so you kind of have to play aggressive. If you're playing aggressively, then, it'll be aggressive.
Energetic.
If you're playing, kind of half-assed, then it'll always sound half-assed.
That's true.
So...
How do you feel click track to no click track?
Is that for engineering or live? I'm very much about just trying to make a record that sounds like the best incarnation of a band.
Yeah.
So if a band enjoy playing live in a room, then like let's just not use a click track. Yeah. But, other bands might want to sound more produced, so you kind of have to isolate everything. And then it's, handy to track to a click track, But I can also make a click track after the fact, So like the drummer can, track, on their own, and then I can arrange a click track around that, with the ebbs and flows, which can be really good. Instead of just a song being the same the whole way, you can kind of move up and down.
Yeah, definitely, with the energy.
Yeah.
We'll go back to the audio engineering stuff. Yep. So you, like when we spoke just before, you're kind of just getting started in that. Had you been lucky to, I don't know, like have a mentor or have someone that said, Lewis, come with me, I'll show you, I'll give you a crack, you can roll my leads and do whatever.
Well, so I went to university at SAE for 2.5 years or something, and they do like an internship program. So I've been working at a studio in the north of Melbourne called Goatsound for about 18 months. And the head engineer there, Jason, so he's like, he's been around for a long time, in the Australian heavy music scene. Yeah. So
he plays in a band.
Yeah, he's in quite a few bands.
Yeah, right.
He's just been around, for a long time, and he started
guitarist
recording.
or
he kind of plays everything.
Oh, really?
But like the bass is his main thing.
Okay.
But he's doing a heap of stuff at the moment where he's just playing, a heap of stuff.
Yeah, right.
So he was kind of the first person to offer me a chance, I guess. So I've been helping out, and engineering out of the, the place there for 18 months or so. So, that kind of originally was like an internship.
Okay.
So through the uni you do 100 hours, and I think I was all right. So I've just been hanging around ever since,
Yeah, right.
So but that was really good to see everything you learn in classes kind of put into practice.
Practically. It's not as smooth as sailing.
But like it kind of showed me that it's not about, understanding compression or EQ. It's about having a band who's excited and, inspired. Yeah. So ideally we should be invisible. Yeah. We're effectively there to, like to roll tape, and the band just plays and we just, capture the best version of them. So at SAE you learn, like the proper way to do things, but then in the real world you see how things work and yeah, like it's not always like the proper way to do things, you know.
No.
But at the end of the day, if you're capturing, you know, inspiring stuff, you know, that's kind of the main thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What else have you got going on other than Goatsound?
So
you're doing is it
Ravens Hall.
Is that your own thing?
Yeah, so that's me, but I'm engineering out of the studio there.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I'm engineering, recording, mixing, you know, and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's kind of my main profession, I guess, at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of my main thing. So I've got a few things on the go at the moment, but it's just at the moment it's just about like reaching out to all these people who I've met, you know, having played in bands for years, you know, and kind of hassling them to record and, you know. So, but it's just kind of hit me the last few months, like how many people I actually know, you know.
Yeah.
Like you slowly meet people over years of playing in bands, and you realise you know people in every place in Australia, and so it's just kind of about reaching out and kind of working on a clientele, you know.
We spoke like off camera a little bit about diversity, genres, etc. Like, have you got a plan, and do you, I don't know, the people that you've seen do well in that game, like business-wise, are you thinking, oh, I want to target a particular market, or are you thinking, let's diversify, I'm interested in... Yeah,
at the moment I'm happy to work with anyone. In the long run, I think heavy music's my thing, you know, so I'd love to primarily be doing that, but you know, there's a heap of really great, like, you know, post-punk and kind of rock bands in Australia, you know, which I enjoy. So, like, I'd love to be, you know, working that kind of stuff. When you're initially working your way up, you can't really choose who you want to work with, you know, and, like, it's all experience, right, you know?
That's true.
So it's all going to help, you know? So...
Yeah, exposure to as much as possible.
Yeah. It's like, as cliche as it is, it's all about exposure, you know. It's all about, you know, who you know and like you're in the right place at the right time, but you still have to have the skills to prove yourself when you are in the right place at the right time, you know. Kind of something I've had an issue with. A lot of the people I went to in like the uni course were just expecting a job at the end of it, you know. So they were handed
an internship.
Yeah, you know, handed internships or like shown how to do things, and then we're just expecting a job, and that's just not how it works.
There's so many variabilities in the market, and it is political, but it's also quality of work.
You know, which kind of heads back to like people in Australia taking a more professional approach, you know, to playing in bands. Like, it should all be about the music, but like you have to pay your rent. Yeah. You know, so you have to be smart about it.
Keep improving, or keep the standard up. Keep pushing.
If you think you're all done or you've reached your peak, you know, then you know, like you're wrong.
You can't stop learning.
You know. It's a weird one. It's a big, you know, existential thing, but you know, it's all just about kind of just trying to speak to those people who you have been meeting over the, you know, playing in bands and stuff. So, I agree. I'm really aware that it's not going to be a short game. You know, it's a long game. You know, so you're hassling people for a long time to record, and you finally get some work, and you kind of hope that'll be like your big break. You know, but that's just not how it works.
No.
You know, so you have to be prepared to put in the hours.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And be a nice guy.
Yeah, well that's it, isn't it? You know, like, even if you're, you know, like the world's best engineer, if a band can't hang with you for 8 hours a day. No. You know? Yeah. Like, they're going to choose that dude, you know, who's pretty average, but like he's a legend.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, so that's kind of it in music. Like you don't have to be the best, but you can't be an idiot.
I agree.
You know, like, because even if you are really good, like you're not going to want to work with, you know, like there's not going to be anyone who wants to work with you. So it seems really working.